This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
When we were planning this trip, one of the locations we were aiming to be zoicha to be at was the Kever of the Shoel Meshiv. We were asking, where's the Shoel Meshiv buried? Perhaps many are familiar that I have at least feel a connection to the Shoel Meshiv, as my grandmother was together with a woman during the Holocaust who was a relative of the Shoel Meshiv. Her name was Mrs. Nathanson, and Shoel Meshiv, one of the all-time great poskim. He lived from 1808 to 1875. He lived 67 years. On his original Matseva, it said, Poi Mishkan Ishalikim Admar Harav Hagoyin Hagadol Moifes Hadar Rabban Shal Kol Bnei Hagoyla. Here we just have a monument where it says his name, but he was recognized as the Rav of all of Klal Yisrael. Ish Kadosh Meirechem. He was holy from the womb. La Yehudim Haisa Amud Ish Shemesh Amagein Oira. And unfortunately, the Shoel Meshiv did not have children. Imariri Halach, although he left this world childless. However, Svarav Hema Banav, his Svarim are his children. Chachmasai Primifalav, his wisdom, the fruit of his actions. He wrote many Svarim. He was the son of Aryeh Leibish. He's Av Bezdin of Lvov, right here. He wrote the Sefer Ner Ma'aravi, Hagoy Sam Yerushalmi. He wrote voluminous Shal Shoel Meshiv. He wrote the Divrei Shol ala Torah. He also contributed to the Mefarshei Hayam, who's buried here. Mefarshei Hayam was his brother-in-law, Rav Mordechai Zev Ittinga. He also contributed to the Magen Giboyer, and we'll speak about that when we speak about the Mefarshei Hayam. The son-in-law of the Chassam Sofer said at the Hesped for the Shoel Meshiv, the Goin HaGoinim, the crown of Israel, has been taken away. All the Gedolei Zmanenu sent their shilas with haze to none other than the Shoel Meshiv. He was Kadosh Meirechem. He was Nisgado B'Kedusha. And this was 40 years ago. The Chassam Sofer called him a Goin, and for the last 40 years, Loi Pasak Pume Migirsa. It said about the Shoel Meshiv that he was not involved in the financial affairs of his household. His wife took care of everything. V'lo yadat suras matbeya. He didn't even know the image of a coin. Interestingly, in his Haskama to the Sefer Meir Einei Soifrim, he was very prolific at writing Haskamas. He says, I myself was mechadesh greatly in this inyan, and I want to print something here that Hashem illuminated my eyes, and I'm embarrassed to say that Gam me'ene hakoidmin bizman umala ne'elama. This is something hidden even from earlier generations. And the Beis Yosef was hoida. The Beis Yosef was admitted, and he was not embarrassed that he didn't know about this. He says the Shal Shechuvas Ramami Pano speaks about this in length, and he says it's a Pliya Niskava. On this Shabbos Kodesh Parsha B'Shalach, Nizgalali, it was revealed to me in a dream while I was sleeping. This inyan, based on what the Ramban writes, it's this secret matter has been revealed to me. Now the story goes that on one particular Lag BaOmer, the Shoel Meshiv visited Krakow. He stayed by the house of his student Rabbi Alexander Shmalkis, who was the brother of the Beis Yitzchak, Rabbi Yitzchak Shmalkish, and there also was Rabbi Avram Yanover, who came to visit this Goin, Rabbi Alexander Shmalkis, and they're having a conversation, and Rabbi Alexander says to the Shoel Meshiv, "Nu, today's Lag BaOmer, Zog Epis, say something over," and the Shoel Meshiv turned to Rabbi Avram. He said, "Nu, Rabbi Avram, how many times are Abaye and Rava mentioned in Shas?" So the Dayan started to say Baal Peh from the beginning of Brachas, all the times Abaye and Rava are mentioned, and the Shoel Meshiv is listening, and then he stops him. He says, "Nu, today's Lag BaOmer, Rabbi Avremel, up to this point, you've already omitted 33 times that Abaye and Rava are mentioned in Shas." Now, in the Hakdama of Shal Shoel Meshiv, he brings a davar nifla ma'od. He says, really, who am I to be involved in halacha l'maisa? This is not my makom. However, I am supported by the fact that I am from Shevet Levi, And he says, Roiv meva'arei ha-Shulchan Aruch. Most of the explicators of Shulchan Aruch are either Kohanim or Leviim. The Sma was a Kohen. The Shach was a Kohen. The Taz, the Magen Avram, the Shla were Leviim. And even in our times, the Noid Yehuda, the Hafla, Leviim, the Ktsois, Kohanim. And therefore, I figured I can be bolstered by belonging to this prestigious Shevet. Ulalevi Amar Tumecha V'urecha Ligish Chasidecha. And by belonging to the Shevet, although of my personal unworthiness as a Shalom Yeshiv, I am supported by my rich lineage. Well, certainly the Shalom Yeshiv was worthy in his own right of all of his godless Torah. May this makom be a makom that our Torah should be neskabel, and may his zechus be oimed lanu u'lechol Yisrael. Amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.